This is a lesson on scales and maps. In this lesson, we will see how we used a linear scale to find distances, the meaning of a representative fraction, and how we use an area scale to find areas. We begin by looking at a linear scale. A map is used to represent a real piece of land, and a linear scale is usually shown on the map to provide a guide to the actual distance on the ground. The scale shown here is 100 millimeters, represent 160 km, which is 1 millimeter represents 1.6 km. This can also be written as a ratio. Since 100 millimeters represents 160 km, therefore 10 cm would represent 16,000 cm. And this can be reduced to the ratio 1 is to 1,600,000. This ratio is also known as the representative fraction, or RF. We will now look at some examples. In the first example, the distance on the map is given as 1.2 cm and the RF of the map is 1 is to 20,000. We have to find the actual distance. We begin by looking at the RF, which is 1 is to 20,000, which means 1 cm represent 20,000 cm. This is converted to the unit scale. 1 cm representing 0.2 km. The conversion of cm to km is done by dividing by 100,000. Therefore, 1.2 cm would represent 1.2 times 0.2, giving us 0.24 km. In the next example, we are given an actual distance of 5 km is represented by 2 cm on a map. That is, 2 cm represent 5 km on the map, on actual ground. This simply means that 1 cm would represent 2.5 km on ground. We convert this to cm by taking 2.5 times 100,000 to give us 250,000 cm. Dropping the cm, we have the ratio 1 is to 250,000. This is the required RF. Next, we take a look at the area scale. To find areas, we need to use an area scale. The area scale is obtained by squaring the linear scale. If the linear scale is 1 is to 50,000, which means 1 cm representing 50,000 cm, we write it in the units 1 cm represent 0.5 km. And squaring this, we will have 1 cm square representing 0.25 km square, which is the area scale. We now look at some examples. In the first example, an actual area of 56 km square is given, and this is represented on a map whose RF is 1:400,000. We need to find the area on a map in cm square. Again, we begin with the RF 1:400,000, which is 1 cm representing 400,000 cm. Converting cm to km, we have 1 cm represent 4 km. And to find the area, we need the area scale. We square the linear scale to give us 1 cm square representing 16 km square. Therefore, to find 56 km square, we simply take 56 divided by 16, which is 3.5 cm square. In the second example, we are given that 40 cm square represents an area of 250 km square on the ground. This is reduced to 4 cm square representing 25 km square. To obtain the linear scale, we have to take the square root on both sides to give us 2 cm represent 5 km. And in order to find the RF, we must first find what is 1 cm, which represents 2.5 km. And changing both sides to cm, we have 1 cm representing 250,000 cm. And dropping the cm, we have the RF 1:250,000. This concludes the lesson on scale. Thank you.